There are pivotal footballing moments in a season that can help shape how the rest of the season might pan out. The away win at Fulham on Wednesday night could prove to be one of those pivotal moments. I guess the only downside to what was a nail biting but fantastic night was that Man City couldn't get the win they needed against a battling Nottingham Forest side. And if they had beaten them, West Ham United would have been out of the relegation zone for the first time in God knows how long. But in all honesty, the draw between those two teams didn't dampen the fantastic mood and the spirit of the West Ham fans at Craven Cottage. Now, I've been going to football matches for longer than I care to remember, and I've been fortunate enough to experience some fantastic atmospheres both home and away. But last night away at Fulham, the away fans were absolutely superb, and we were up for this game well before kickoff. There was just that vibe about the game. I guess because of how much the game meant to our chances of Premier League survival, there was just that vibe throughout the whole 90 minutes or the whole 99 minutes in this particular case. When you look at the lineup, as I'd predicted after the game against Liverpool, it seemed that Callum Wilson was going to be rested for this game. And lo and behold, he replaced Magassa in the starting lineup. Magassa, I can't say he was dropped. It was a tactical switch. You take out a midfielder, you put another striker in to go with a 4-4-2. And I think a lot of fans were quite happy with that. The two up front meant that for Nuno, there was only one desired outcome from this game. And that, of course, is to go and get a win. A draw was not going to be good enough. The only other change was that Jean-Claire Todibo came in for Dinos Mavropanos. Harsh in a way that Dinos is, given that the way Dinos has been playing this season. But I don't want to suggest that Dinos was dropped. Again, for me, this was, again, giving him a bit of a rest. He's had quite a lot of knocks over the last few games. So maybe that switch was quite a measured and controlled change. When was the last time that we can say we had a decent centre-back available on the bench? And it was only last season that Dinos was being booed by West Ham fans every time he set foot on the pitch. So what a contrast. What an absolute change for him. And I'm really pleased for him. But of course, the arrival of Axel Disasi has completely transformed our backline. Let's put aside the disappointing performance and the defeat against Liverpool last weekend. That game aside, Disasi has played 5 games since arriving at West Ham, 4 in the league, and as a sub in the FA Cup against Burton. And in those 5 games, he's helped West Ham to get 4 clean sheets. Now, there was no way that with Todibo coming back in, it was Disasi that was going to be dropped. So, if we're going to continue playing with 2 centre-backs, then one of the 3, I know we've got 4, but we won't mention the 4th just for a moment, but one of the 3 have got to drop out. Unless, of course, Nuno decides to go with a back 5 at any time. Look, we started the game well. We had our fair share of chances. In fact, both teams had their fair share of chances, to be honest with you. And I've got to give credit to Mads Hermansen, who's received a lot of criticism from me. He pulled off 2 excellent saves, 1 in each half, to keep us in the game. There were questionable moments. The early innocuous yellow card against Fernandes meant that he had to manage his game plan and not make any further rash challenges. And then when he went in on what seemed to be, to us, we saw it was right in front of us, what seemed to be a fair challenge just outside the box, we feared the worst. First, we all thought that the ref had pointed to the penalty spot, and thankfully it was just outside, so it was a free kick. But then the second was Fernandes is going to get another yellow card. And thankfully, he didn't. The officiating was pretty awful throughout the game. But in that particular instance, and I'm not being, biased just for West Ham, but in that particular instance, he got it right. To be honest, we thought it was a fair challenge. We didn't think it was deserving of a free kick, let alone a card. But we had other moments, didn't we? We had our moments for a penalty shout when Iwoba deliberately stuck his arm out to stop a cross coming in, and yet no action was taken. It was just a corner. Couldn't understand that for a minute. I've seen decisions go against teams. So, in the similar sort of vein. So This whole handball situation really does need to be assessed. And then, of course, in the second half, when Castellanos was adjudged to have given away a penalty, and for once, thank goodness for VAR, because it helped to overturn the ref's immediate decision to award a penalty. And then the goal. The goal, and hats off to Jarrod Bowen for his persistence in closing down Leno to nick the ball, getting it to Somerville, and what a cool, calm, composed finish to put us ahead. Look, apparently he said in a post-match interview that he was thinking about chipping the keeper. That weren't going to go anywhere. So the fact that his deft foot, the way he, sort of went past the first defender in order to put it in with his left foot, just was superb. But to be honest with you, from that minute, what did we score in the 65th minute? Something like that. From the 65th minute and the final 25 minutes or the final 34 minutes, felt like hours. And the ref tried to make sure that it did go on for hours, didn't he? First of all, we were given 6 minutes added time. And I think, in fairness, when I think about breaking it down, the number of subs that were made, a couple of VAR checks that went on, a couple of players down, etc., then maybe, just maybe, 6 minutes at a time was probably fair. But then, where on earth did the additional 3 minutes on top of the 6 minutes come from? The ref blew the final whistle well in the 99th minute. Such poor standards of refereeing, considering that this is meant to be the best league in the world. It just can't go on, can it? Our officiating simply just doesn't match that. Still, we got 3 points. We're now level on points with Nottingham Forest, although our goal difference is a lot worse. We're a point behind Tottenham Hotspur. If they don't beat Crystal Palace on Thursday night, then it really will be squeaky bum time for them. Crescencio Somerville got the Man of the Match award, but if it were down to me, I probably would have handed it to Jean-Claire Todibo because he was imperious in defence. One thing I suggested was that with Todibo in, he's more agile. I mean, I like Dinos. I think Mavropanos has really come on this season. He's playing a lot better than he has been for West Ham, far more consistent. But Todibo offers something slightly different because he can cover more ground. So when Aaron Wan-Bissaka is slightly out of position, Todibo can get there. He's got the ability, he's got the pace to get there and cover. And he's just like, when we were questioning, when we bought him for 35 million pounds, and we were asking what the hell did we pay for, we're now seeing what we paid for. He is absolutely superb. Disasi, of course, like I've already said, he's again next to him. It looks like a really nice pairing at the back there, doesn't it? Criticisms, and they're going to be, I'm sorry to say, I think Malik Diouf had another poor game. His crossing was not great, and sometimes I think he was just caught short in defence. And we were wondering whether he was going to actually get through the whole game, whether Myers or Ollie Skulls might have come in for him. But he got through the game. Okay. But it's just something about me. He's rushing things at the moment. I think that's what's happening. He's just rushing things a little bit too much. And he's just got to calm down because there's a good defender in there. There wasn't any other player who really had a bad game. Souček was just, again, another unsung hero, clearing the ball out from defence, getting his foot in. Even he, every time he gets the ball now, seems to just go forward rather than the old way of he'll stop, he'll look back, pass it backwards, etc. He's been told just go forwards. Again, Fernandes, a dynamo in midfield. He controlled that midfield yet again. Him and Souček actually make a really good, formidable midfield duo. I never thought I'd see that. I never honestly thought I'd see that happen. I like Castellanos. I think he's got a presence in a very different way up front. He's not one of those typical number nines, but, he definitely has a presence. Callum Wilson had his chances, squandered a few of them. He had one opportunity where he skied it, which was, if there was anyone that you wanted the ball to fall to, it would have been Callum Wilson. But, I think he put the hour that he put in, I think the endeavour was great. Bowen, I think, had a better game. But Jimmy, I mean, he was asked after in the post-match interview if he knew what the fans were singing. He said, I don't know. I'm going to have to Google it or whatever he said. But what is that now? 7 goals and an assist in 10 games? What form he has. what form he has. Look, I think we controlled the game. I think Fulham are a very, very good footballing side. But the way we went about our business, the first half, we kind of nullified each other. But the second half, we had the better of it. I think, they had their chances. Like I said, the last 20 odd minutes after we scored, it was really quite nail biting. It was like, and we seemed to sort of like fall deeper and deep. That's the slightly thing that, but no, there's another criticism. That's the one where we just fall deeper and deeper into our own half to allow the opposition to get more of the ball. And sometimes I've said, sometimes teams force us back, and other times we just seem to naturally want to fall back. In this case, I think we had a bit more about us to be able to try and combat that against Fulham. Although I give them credit where credit's due, they're a good footballing side. But now this is all about the final 9 games of the season, and what can we do, to keep ourselves out or get ourselves out of the bottom 3. If you look at the most informed teams at the moment, West Ham United, this is after the last 10 games, West Ham United are 9th of the most informed teams at this present time. And you look at teams above us, Man United, Arsenal, Chelsea, Man City, etc., Brentford, Bournemouth, teams, Liverpool, all these teams that are meant to be better than us. Look, Fulham were actually, that win last night has actually put us ahead of them. So of all the teams in the bottom half of the league, especially fighting the relegation, we are the informed team over the last 10 games. So that's got to be, that's a lot to go on at the moment. You look at the bottom half of the less informed teams, then you've got Nottingham Forest in 15th position. You've got Leeds United in 16th position. And then right at the bottom, you've got Crystal Palace, who are not out of this just yet, even though they've got a lot more points than us. Then you look at the right at the very bottom, Tottenham Hotspur. Their new manager bounce has not happening. 2 games he's been in charge, Igor Tudor, and I did suggest that of Nottingham Forest and of Tottenham Hotspur, not both teams are not going to get their manager bounce, and it looks to be quite possibly Tottenham Hotspur. It's going to be interesting to see. I mean, look, Crystal Palace are not much better than Tottenham Hotspur, so who's going to win that? To be honest, even if it's a point there, I'd kind of be happy, because that means Crystal Palace will be kept down there, and so will Tottenham Hotspur. So I think the ideal result, I think, for us between those 2 teams would be a draw. Look, people, if we carry on like this, both home and away, the way our fans are behind the team and the way we're playing our football, the whole Liverpool thing was just a blip, a horrible one. And in all honesty, after they got beat by Wolverhampton Wanderers, it makes our scoreline, the 5-2 that we lost against them, even worse. But we've got momentum. We've got the momentum going. And fingers crossed that we can actually do this, because I feel far more confident now than I did even a month or so ago. Look, if you're new to this channel, there's a QR code that's appeared. Click on that. You can become a subscriber of the channel, all free of charge. If you enjoy the video, please click on the like button. If you like to promote the video on my behalf, you click the hype button. That allows, so you're hyping it and it allows other people to watch the video. Do that, please. Costs you nothing to do that. Become a subscriber, click the like button, hit the hype button, etc., etc. I'll be back soon. I've got an update on all this £300 million loss, £104 million loss, etc. I'm putting that together, so I'll come back later in the week, maybe Friday. Well, it's Thursday, so it will be Friday with that update. But in the meantime, thank you for watching. Thank you for listening, and I will see you all soon.